Hey guys, welcome back to KY Coins and Collectibles. And what you see here is my nickel set. I'd bought this a while back, and it is a full set of nickels. And I'll show it to you here in a second, but I had bought this probably about a year ago, and I've just been trying to put it together. This set has been harder than what I thought it was going to be to put together. I thought the Morgans were pretty tough, and the large cent is really tough. But these nickels, the older V nickels and some of the Buffaloes, are pretty hard to find, especially in decent condition and for a good price. So this set has been very challenging, very doable. It's easy to do. You can put it together fairly quick, but it depends on how much you want to pay for coins and the condition. So I'm going to show you my set. I also have another set over here I've not showed before, so I'm going to make a video after this one on this set. It's got some very expensive key dates in it, so stay tuned for that video. I will make it next. And I just wanted to go over these nickels. Like I was saying, there's a lot of harder dates to find in these nickels. And this is a Dansco, and it's the nickels 1883 through present, pretty much. I don't think it goes all the way up to current date, but it's 1983 is the newest one I have, most current. So that shows you the Jefferson nickels. This has the V nickels, the Buffalo nickels, and then you got your Jeffersons. So it's a fairly big set, and there is a lot of coins in this set. So it's hard to put together when you've got so many coins, but it has been so much fun, and I love putting together a big set like this. And I like these albums that have multiple design pages in it. So it's got like a page for the V nickels, a page for the Buffaloes, and then a page for the Jeffersons. I really like these. I wish I could find these for other sets, and they seem like they're older. And this set had come from an older gentleman that I had worked with. His eldest or his older daughter at where I work at, his daughter had inherited his collection, and his daughter, she's around probably 73, and her dad had collected when he was younger. So he had this set, this partial set, for a long time, and he actually had a lot of the key dates. I mean, it wasn't hard to finish, but some of the coins were. Like, you can fill up a lot of it really fast, and then like most sets, you kind of come to a standstill on a few key dates. So we'll get started. I'll show you. And right off, you have your Liberty V nickels, and I was surprised. I know most of the sets that I buy, or coin collections that I buy, they have V nickels in them. And like I've said, most V nickels are in the same condition. They're pretty wore. Like this 1891, you can barely see detail on it. So these are like the average of most V nickels I buy. They're always wore out. They have a lot of wear on them. They're good, very good at best. Rarely do you find good ones. And I'll tell you, the one that always has some of the best condition is it's usually the cents or no cents. And it's honestly the cents. This one actually has a good, well, I take that back, it's opposite. The no cents is the one you can find in better condition. the one with cents is harder. And it's weird, and I'll show you in the book, because it always confused me, the cents and no cents. And the reason is the mintage. And I know a lot of y'all probably know this, but the without cents, and it confuses me too, because in this book, the no cents is the second one, and the cents with cents on the back is the first one. And in the book, it's the opposite. So that's why I kind of said it backwards. But the mintage on the without cents is 5 million, a little over 5 million, versus the with cents is 16 million. So without looking at the numbers, you would more or less think the one with the lower mintage would be worth more. Well, that's not the case with this. Generally, that is the case. If it's got a lower mintage, it's going to have a higher price point on it because they've made fewer. It's worth more. It's not the case in this one. When they made the 1883 without cents, the first ones they made, everybody hoarded them up. They just kept them. People said they was going to be worth a lot, and they hoarded them up. Well, when they changed the design later in the year to with cents, they made a bunch of them. Well, people didn't think they was going to be worth anything, so they used them. And whenever you used so many of them, I mean, when people just used them and they had to, there were there's a less survival rate of the with cents. So they got used and wore out. That's why there's a big price difference. For a G4, and this is a 2004 or 2024 Red Book, it goes from $7 to $20. So that's the difference. And that's a big difference, especially when you've got 16 million versus 5 million. So, and kind of the story behind that is, everybody knows about the V-nickel and the story behind the racketeer coin. They were gold plating them, trying to pass them off as a $5 gold piece. Well, there was a gentleman named Josh Tatum, and he was gold plating them, and he would go to the store to buy something, and it'd be worth a nickel. He was very smart about it. He'd buy something worth a nickel, and it was a gold-looking coin, and they would give him $4.95 back. So, because they were thinking it was a $5 gold piece. It wasn't. It was a nickel. So, that's kind of what happened. A lot of people were doing that. So, the mint had to change it and put cents on the back. And I'll show you what it looks like here. So, the V-nickel here, it doesn't have cents on it. And then this one, they changed it and put cents on it. Right there. So that's kind of the story behind that. And a neat little thing, and I didn't know this until a while back when I was doing some research on the V-nickels. The gentleman's name was Josh Tatum that was passing these V-nickels, these nickels off as $5 gold pieces. So that's where the phrase, or the I guess you can say phrase, comes from, just joshing you. His name was Josh. So if you ever heard just joshing you, that's where I heard that come from. And that's pretty cool. That's funny, I think. I never knew that until like a year or two ago. And I'd always heard that when I was little, just joshing you. I guess that's where it comes from. Let me know in the comments if you've heard that as well. It's a pretty cool story. They said Josh made a lot of money, and he pretty much got out of it because I guess he was deaf, he couldn't speak, and he never told the clerk or cashier, whoever it was, that he never told them that it was a $5 piece. He just gave it to them to pay, and they assumed it was a gold $5 piece, and they gave him back change. He never told them any different, but he never told them it was a $5 gold piece. But he'd always just buy a nickel item, and they would, thinking it was a $5 gold piece, give him $4.95 back. Well, he went town to town, city to city, and made a lot of money. So he knew what he was doing. But yeah, pretty cool story. But with that said, there is some nice key dates in here, and I never realized the V-nickels had a couple hard key dates. And the first two we're going to look at, since we're on this page, is the 85 and the 86. And I've got them. And the mintage on the 85 is 1.4 million, and on that 86 is 3.3 million. And they start at $300 and $200 in this 2024 Red Book. That's crazy. And they jump. If you have a very fine or anything over that, you're talking $1,000 on this 85. And I never realized any of these V-nickels really got up into the thousands of dollars, or even a couple $100. I always thought most of them were $10, $15, $20 in decent condition. But like the rest of coinage, there's always a key date or a couple key dates. So that was really neat. And he actually had these key dates in here for the nickels, the V-nickels. So I was really happy with that. And this gentleman had collected for a long time, as you can tell. And some of the harder ones I had to get was these last few of the key dates. The 94, of course, Philly. 94s are always hard. 94 Phillies. The Morgan 94 Philly is hard to get. This one, 94, right here, it starts at $15. And then a VG, it jumps up to $35. So within just a couple coins, you've got over $500 in 3 coins. And then the next one is the 12S, the 1912S. And he had put a couple extra in here, but they're not S's, they're just 1912s. I believe that one's a 12 also. So, and there was also a D, and this is the only different mints that wasn't made at the Philadelphia Mint. So the 1912 Denver and the 1912 San Francisco. That was the only 2 years they made them. And the San Francisco is a hard one to find. And that one starts at $135. And it has a really low mintage, 238,000. That is crazy. Now I wonder why that one, that 1912S, is not more than this 1885 Philly with $1.4 million, and it starts at 300. So that 1912S should be a lot more expensive coin, I think. But people may have hoarded them up, it being the last year and the only one made in San Francisco. Usually, in following different coin patterns throughout history, whenever there's something different made, coin collectors swoop in and they just snatch everything up if they think it's going to be valuable. And then the mint catches on and they change it. So this overall, this is a cool set. It's a relatively easy set to put together because you can see, look, it's just one page. It's not too bad to put together, but you're going to have to spend a few $100s getting a couple coins. But the rest of them are easy to put together. You're talking $5-10, you can have the rest of the coins pretty easy. So it's an easy set. It's a short-lived series from 83 to 1912. there's 10, 20, 30, 35. I believe there's 35 coins, and they fit on a nice page. I love it. It's a good series to put together. And in this particular Dansco book, as you can see over here, it's got from the 1883 all the way up to 1970. So it has everything listed here. And I really like that, how it shows all the years. And like I said, I like these Danscos that have multiple years in it. I'd like to get one for the half cents, like your Walkers, your Benjis, and your Kennedys. That's cool. And your quarters. Doing a quarter would be nice. I like the multiple sets in one book, because I don't like having multiple Dansco books in my album. In my safe, it just takes up so much room. So if I can compact it into 2 or 3 albums, I really like that. So that's why this is one of my favorite albums. It's got all 3 designs in it. And then the next, and this is the set that I don't have one coin to complete this whole book. And of course, we're doing the Buffalo now, the Indian head nickel. It is the 1913S V2, the version 2. And that's the hardest one. That's the key date out of the series. And it is hard. I've actually got one I'm buying this weekend, probably Saturday. And it's going to be, I think I'm going to get it for $150. I'm paying, I'll just tell you, I think I'm paying $150. And it's going to be like a G3, I think. Which most of them that I'm seeing online is 160 to 190. So I'm getting a good deal on it. Don't have to pay shipping, and it's graded already. So I'll probably be putting that in the album in a few days. But this was a kind of hard set to put together too, especially with the Buffalo nickels. They wear down so easy. The front, the date, wears off really fast. And then on the back, on the reverse, they had 2 different types. They had a raised mound and a recessed, like it was recessed back in the coin. They had it raised, and it was just wearing off too fast. And it shows you in the book here, the variety 1, raised mound, and it was closer. It was a high point, so it just wore down really fast. So they had to learn not to do that, and then they started putting it into the coin so it wouldn't be the high point to wear down. But these Buffaloes get expensive too, and there's quite a few key dates. I told you all the 1913s in good condition are harder to find, and they're at least $100. Except for the first year, they made 30 million, and a lot of people hoarded them up. So you can find a mint state for $60 pretty easy. But then when you jump to the Denver and San Francisco mint, they're a little harder to find. And then when you jump to the variety 2, they get really harder to find. But this has a lot of key dates in it. And they had relatively lower mintage, 1 million, 4 million, 2 million, another 3 million, 4, 9 million. But then again, you've got some that have higher mintages, and they still have a good price point, like this 1916D. They made 13 million, and a good starts at $25. So it is hard to put a nice set of Buffaloes together, because they have so many high points, and they would wear down really fast. So this is a good set to put together. I've really enjoyed putting this one together. I had a bunch of buffalo nickels in good condition, and I have been putting them in here, trying to just really increase the value of the book and just trying to increase the grades. And I will try to show y'all some of them. I know I didn't really show you on the V nickels. I've been talking, but yeah, another hard set. And like I said, that 13S variety 2 version 2, it's a hard one, hard to find. And this was a pretty long set, they went from 13 all the way up until 38. So they had a good run. And what made so many of them was they done a Philadelphia, they done a Denver, San Francisco. So each mint had their own buffalo nickel, whereas the V nickels, they just basically done them in Philadelphia. So this was a good set to put together. I had to buy a few of these, but you can buy decent buffaloes for a couple dollars, especially the later years. The later years you can find. It's the earlier years, like up until I think the 20s. And I've got the book here. Yeah, once you get into like 26, thereafter, they're all just a couple dollars. Except for the 1931S. It's got a $17 on here for the G4. There is a couple varieties like the 35 double die reverse, and then of course the famous three-legged 1937D three-legged buffalo, and then the 36D 3.5-legged buffalo. So there's some neat varieties. I don't have a three-legged. I'm looking, trying to find a good deal. They're pretty expensive. They're always $500, $600, $700, $800. But yeah, I'd like to get one of those. I'm looking for one. But overall, a nice set. Took some time. Most of them were relatively cheap. Then you got the few key dates, and everything on the first page is pretty hard to find, like harder to find, but very doable. And then moving on to the Jeffersons, there's not really a lot of key dates. And whenever you get into the 50s, the 1950s, I believe, starting around like 53, I've got pretty nice ones, because you can find nice, like in the 50s and 60s, you can find those pretty easy still. A lot of them around like 58, 59, I found some really nice toned ones. And I don't know if that's just a year that toned really good. But yeah, the nickels are pretty easy. I believe the key date for the nickels, of course you've got your war nickels, but I'll go back to those. The key date is the 50. I have to look because I don't remember. I believe it's like the 50D is the key date really for the later nickels. Yep. Yeah, so that one starts in the book at 12, and that's 1250, and that's a mint state. And I actually found a 1950D. Yeah. So I actually found one. When I was trying to finish this set off, there was a few in here that didn't have right dates, and they didn't have the right mint mark. So I had to go through change. I had a bunch of change I'd been going through, a bunch of nickels I'd been going through looking for silver war nickels. And I actually found most of the 50s and 40s. So a nickel set is really good a set to put together, especially for new collectors, and it's relatively easy. And there wasn't many war nickels, so everybody knows during 1942 was World War II, and nickel was a precious metal, so they just put silver in the coin versus nickel. So the wartime silver is 1942 Philly, and it goes all the way through 45 Denver, or actually it's got 45 Denver and 45S as well, San Francisco. The first year they started that, in 42, there's two different varieties. And the way to tell if you have a war nickel, and if it's got silver, and it tells right here, 42 Philly through 45S, it shows you in the book, and they're 35% silver. So they're not 90% silver, they're just 35%. And the best way to tell is on the back. And I'll show you right here. Above the little building, you'll see the mint mark. Let me see right here. You can see this one good. See the little, I believe that one's the San Francisco mint mark. That's how you know if it's got that little mint mark. So it's pretty easy to tell. They do have 35% silver. You can find them relatively cheap. They're maybe a couple dollars at most. So Jefferson nickels are really fun to put together, and you can go all the way up until current. I mean, as early as you want. So they're really neat, and that's really it, guys. I just really wanted to show you this set. Some hard key dates, and the point is, I really didn't know these nickels had that many key dates, and I've not really priced out or like put together a value on this book, but it's way more than I thought it was going to be. I thought one of these books, a nickel set, would be $500, $600, $700, $800 at most, but you've got a couple coins in here that are $200 to $300 to $500 each. So, and then you've got a bunch that are $20 to $60 to $80 a piece. So it adds up really fast. And this is just an awesome set. I love a set with so many coins in it. And this is just a great album. If y'all can find this Dansco, buy it, because it's one of my favorites. And it's heavy. I love these albums that you can fill up with coins and it's heavy. You know you have something. It don't have a number on it. Most of them have a little number right here, but this one doesn't. So it's older. It's got some wear on the binder of it, the seam here. But just a great set. I recommend y'all putting one together. You can put it together pretty fast, and then you'll have a few key dates that'll slow you down, and you'll have to get the wallet out. But that's okay. I feel like I've got my money, some good money invested in it, but I feel like whenever I go to sell it, I can sell a few coins out of it and make my money back. So it's a few good pieces have made this album very nice. And whenever I get my Buffalo Variety 2 1913 S Variety 2, I'll probably crack it out and put in here, and then just my sticker for I think it's a NGC. I'll just put my sticker in the back and just like tape it to the back to show what it was, because I like having these albums, and that can show where I got it from. But it will have my book complete. I like putting coins in a book. If they're really expensive coins, like a 1893 Morgan, you need to have it graded and keep it in a grade slab. If you ever go to sell it, it'll just make it so much easier. But for a coin like what I'm getting this Buffalo for, I think I'm just going to crack it out, and I'll feel better with it in my album. So that's it, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. Sorry I've not been on in about a week. I've had a lot going on. Hope everybody's doing okay. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July. And y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend. And happy collecting. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.